That's exactly right.
And I think that helps us.
And I think when you look at people in general with life, I promise you, when they were cussing you over the food, food wasn't the problem.
Right.
They've either had so much disappointment, so much hurt, so much abuse
Yes, sir.
that their only outlet is, I didn't get what I want in food.
Yeah.
You know, because they can't fix the abuse or the hurt.
Right.
And so when you love God, you learn not to take it so personal. You know, and it's hard to do because we're flesh.
Right. Right.
But when you go, you know, there's a bigger problem than us not having Pringles this time.
Right.
You
Absolutely.
know, even though that's what they're saying, down deep there's a pain that they've not dealt with.
Something else going on.
Yeah, and so when you look at it that way, it gives you a little more compassion. You know.
Because you know, people have bad days.
Sure.
Okay, we have bad days. We have things that happen. Now, it's important to try to control those days.
Right.
But I mean, we have bad days, and people go through things in their life. And
Right.
let's talk about this.
Okay.
Let's get back because we've done discussed too much stuff. All right. All right.
I got you.
All right. I'm gonna be in trouble.
Two preachers in the shed. That's just nothing but words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. When we talk about growing up, where'd you grow up at?
Grew up in Bishop, Virginia.
Okay.
Right on the line. Dad was a coal miner and also a pastor. And so I grew up in Bishop till I was about 6th grade.
All right.
Bishop coal mine shut down, so we got to move to Baptist Valley, next to Tazewell. And when you come from Bishop, you were George Jefferson right there. You moved on up. You know, we didn't have to cross Stony Ridge every time.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was the greatest thing because my siblings, most of them all had to go through their high school career living in Bishop.
Right.
And so to go out on a date, you had to you had to cross the mountain twice, you know.
Right.
And so I was like, I'm a step ahead,
Yeah,
you know, I'm
yeah.
closer to what's going on. So that's where I grew up. But at that time, when the coal mines and everything was going, I'm telling you, it was the greatest community. I mean, wherever you wrecked your bike, that's who your mom was. They just took care of everybody. A lot of simple times back then. Yeah.
And I think that, you know, when you think about growing up, then what kind of memories, what stands out in your mind when you think about memories that were just, now, you know, good things or things that you went through? What are some things, because there's always things that stand out.
Gosh, there's so many. You're right. There's so many because I guess the biggest thing that stands out to me is the front porch. At night, all of us would sit, the younger kids, me, and the kids in the night were catching, you know, lightning bugs, and my brother Ray is playing the guitar, and my mom's just rocking in her chair, and dad's just listening to it all, playing the car game. I don't know if you ever did that, where everybody picks a color, and whatever color car passes by, you say, I got one, and the first to 10 won. You know, that kind of stuff was just, I wouldn't take money for that, you know. Because at that point, and I had a guy ask me one time, said, when you want to go back to a place that's peaceful, what do you see? And I described that same moment.
Yeah.
Because at that time, it was just peace. You know, there was no frustration. There was no keeping up with the Joneses. There was just us on the front porch, you know. So that's one of them. There's a lot about Bishop that I remember.
All right, what are we talking about? I mean, do you have any brothers and sisters?
Got two brothers, Ray and Dennis, and a sister, Carrie.
Right.
And then they had me. My brothers are much older than me.
Yeah, and they're unattractive.
Yeah, very.
They're
I
unattractive.
totally agree with that.
Lawrence, really, you know, when I think about, you know, Lawrence is homely. Okay, and he really is. He's just homely. I mean, he seemed like he's always been a nice guy.
Yeah.
But I mean, he ain't got the looks like me and you.
All right, well,
Yeah, but
you know.
he's good-hearted.
Good-hearted.
I got a big heart.
Yeah,
I think the Lord's
big
blessed
hearts.
him as far as heart.
Yeah.
Because he knew he didn't have much looks.
Right, he didn't have nothing to go on. I tell them all the time, you know, when they had me, they didn't have any more because they finally got it right, you know.
My daughter Kelsey says the same thing.
But then they're older, so they got a little bit of wisdom, and they'll say, no, they had you and said, we can't make this mistake again.
Not like that.
So,
Yeah.
so we can't have that happen. But it's great. Love it. Great
Yeah.
family. Great
good.
family. Close, you know,
Good.
tight.
Do you think the support that you have when you think about family, we can talk about so many people and don't have a support of a family. And that's where I think the compassion has to come sometimes when we think of people. They don't have the support system that you had.
Right. That's right.
They don't have it, man.
That's right.
They don't have it.
That's right.
They don't have the support. And I think when we don't have that support system and we don't have that there, man, I mean, that's got to be hard.
You know, John, I'm glad you mentioned that, because a lot of times we only compare other people's life to what we know.
Right.
And we look at them and go, well, where's their brothers at? Where's
Right.
they may not have had that kind of family.
Exactly.
And so it gives us a chance to learn what we did as a family and pass it on and be that kind of family to somebody else.
Right.
Because you're right. You're right. I've always said we were a storybook.
Yeah.
You know, I really felt that way.
Right.
But not everybody has that.
You know, I was blessed in my family, you know, and I've interviewed a lot of people that, I mean, I had running water ever since I can remember, an inside toilet, we had a place called the Sweet Shop down on the street. And I could go down there and get a 6-pack of Pepsis. Mom would send me down and get a carton of Pepsis, you know. And I was really blessed growing up and had friends all around me,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
that weren't brothers and sisters by blood, but they were just like brothers and sisters. They were all around me, and I was blessed in that respect.
Oh, yeah.
And really, you know, and I talked to some people and we talked about the things they went through in their life, and I was just really blessed. See, I think the bloodline, down through the bloodline, I know now in my life that everything I got has come from the Lord.
Yeah,
I mean, I know it's come from the Lord, but it come from also. The Bible talks about the curses down through the bloodline, but there's blessings down through the bloodline.
Absolutely.
That I feel like there's things that I have inherited that weren't my doing.
That's right.
Does that make sense?
You know, a lot of people talked about my dad being so generous. Now, I didn't know it because my father passed away when I was too young, so I don't have a lot of stories there. But I would meet people and they'd say, oh, we were hurting, and he would, and you know, before I even knew that about him, I know that was my heart too. And like you said, I think that's something that's passed down. It's not that I learned it from him. He wasn't in my life long enough to learn it from him. But, you know, it's still passed down.
Yes, sir.
So it lets you know that whatever time you're here, you're making a difference for your kids. You're passing that down, you know. And like you said, it's through the blood.
I believe.
Yeah.
You know, one of the reasons that I'm doing what I'm doing with these programs, okay, the Lord really dealt with my heart that there's people like you and other people that I meet that are treasures. I really believe in, with all my heart, in these mountains. They have words of wisdom, and they have life that they've been through.
Right.
And it will change somebody else's life if we can just get it to them. Okay, does that make sense? If
Well,
I can just get it to them.
I've always said the greatest, most comforting words you'll ever hear, because, you know, I went through suicide when my dad died.
Right.
I've went through a lot in my life to where giving up you feel like is the only option.
Yeah.
And you hear somebody say these two words that change your life. Me too. They don't try to fix you.
Right.
They don't, because, I mean, even when you look in the Bible, Elijah's problem was there's nobody that understands me. You know, there's no me too. It's just me. Everybody else is turned. And God let him know there's some me too's out there.
Yeah.
You know, and once, you know, all the people who are watching has been through something. There ain't nobody watching that ain't been through something that changes your life and almost changes your attitude to get bitter or mad. But when you get that somebody that just says, I get it, me too.
Yeah.
You know, there's a relief in that.
Yes,
like,
sir.
I'm not going crazy. I'm not the only one that's dealt with it. And then you look at their life and go, if God let them make it, I know that he's the same God for me too.
Yeah.
You know.
I think, you know, for example, okay, and I've shared this before, and I believe there's people that are mean to you that don't want to be mean to you.
Right.
Okay, and I get this back from Pharaoh, and I get this back from when God sent Moses to him and said, now, Moses, I want you to go. Tell him, let my people go. And by the way, when you get there, I'm going to fix it where he doesn't listen to you.
Right.
So, I mean, you know, he's going to give you, I'm going to give you an impossible feat